Alex.
Hey,
Good to
how
chat.
are you?
I'm doing well. So maybe you can introduce yourself. We've Alex from GoodReps.ai. But I would say first and foremost, just to kick this thing off, tell us who you are, what's your background, what has led up to the building of this new AI startup that you're working on.
Oh yeah, that's very loaded. So I'll start with the far, far away. So I'm originally from Ukraine, engineer by trade. I was trained as engineer and back at school started my first company. My first company was not a major success. I barely got my money back. But that was like a very interesting attempt, and I kind of seeded that bug in me to start a company at some point. And then spent several years in the engineering, a variety of engineering roles, mostly focused on internet, early days of internet, web, and so on. And then transitioned into product management. And in product management, again, my transition was like very organic. I started another company of mine that had quite a bit of traction, but failed miserably as the business. Where this is where I learned is like, okay, so now to start a company, not only you need a traction and a product, you actually need the business to support it. And being mostly in big data, big tech companies in product since then, companies like Splunk, where I had my first IPO experience, actually very amazing that like on the floor full of people, everybody's talking about IPO, but less than 10% of people actually ever experience IPO. And after Splunk, I joined another company, Zora, which was started by one of the early employees of Salesforce. And that was my second IPO experience. So I'm a serial IPO guy. I can tell that. And after
Not a
that,
bad track record to have.
it's not too bad, yes. So and after that, I decided to go and start another company of mine, which was last mile delivery space to be think of disrupting courier delivery market. And with that company, I spent several years, raised funds, and got to multiple million in ARR and profitable, and had a quick exit there. Actually, the company is still up and running, still around, still profitable. The growth is slowing down. I'm still sitting on the board of that company as the advisor. And then yeah, at that point I decided, okay, maybe I need to chill a little and join Facebook. It didn't work out. So it didn't work out as a chilling. Rest investing, definitely not my thing. And after a couple of years at Facebook, I said like, listen, I mean, I have so many years in front of me. Why waste? And let's focus on something that I can make a dent in the universe and make something significant, especially with the strong tailwinds generative AI being released in November last year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the long story short.
Yeah, so at some point along that technology and startup career, you obviously made your way from Eastern Europe out to the Valley, and you're currently based in the Bay Area. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I spent several years in LA. I liked LA, but it has only three seasons, like hot, very hot and fire. And so I decided to move somewhere which is a little more reasonable in terms of weather.
Yeah, it's also many. I consider it to be many islands in one large city, and it's rare that you see your friends who live on the other islands, unless you're
That's
willing.
so true.
So, you sounds like you were working as hard as a entrepreneur or startup person would at Facebook. So you figured, I'll go do this for my own company again. Took the leap, and you're working on good reps. And you mentioned the last mile delivery kind of logistics business, and I know as we were just having a high level conversation about your new company, there are some aspects, maybe some learnings that you saw there, but you've transitioned now to your new business, Good Reps, and it seems that there's maybe many applications of the technology that you're building, but you have picked a particular wedge to enter the market with, and the name is based on that particular wedge. So maybe you can jump in now and tell us a bit about the new company.
Yeah, so there is a long story what actually was the trigger to focus on that specific problem. The reality is there are being lots and lots of inefficiencies that I've been dealing with my previous companies, with my startup, and even at the Facebook, where there is a lot of manual work created supporting the service and support and revenue generation and information qualification screening across multiple systems. And if you'll think about it, the problem is very simple but very complex at the same time. The Most of the companies, they tend to deal with a variety of different systems of engagement. Think of emails, text messages, Freshdesk, Zendesk, whatever, as well as systems of records, variety of CRMs, internal APIs, external APIs, ERPs, and whatnot, agency management systems. So what's lacking is in this siloed environment is a system of intelligence that will connect all of these systems and will be able to orchestrate the specific use cases or jobs to be done, which is more common for product management frameworks on trying to address this specific problem. And now with the generative AI, that became possible very easily with the emerge of these technologies as well as the publicly available GPT models.
Mhm.
So that was like a big trigger for me. It's like we tried to do something like that back in 2016, back in 2000, back at Zora, back in 2018 when I had my own startup. We did a very like rudimentary type of natural language processing, dialogue flows, workflows, and chatbots. And now, like in just 6 months, we made such a significant improvement in understanding the language, understanding the context, and what's more important, building the reasoning system in front of it.
Mhm.
So that was like for me like no brainer. I mean, I have to go and build it for a variety of verticals that we can focus on. And what's good thing about it is the person that worked for me at my previous startup, he was an engineer in my previous startup. He was like, "Oh, I mean, I'm so excited about building something like that," and he decided to join me as the co-founder in this.
Well, it's always good to have, a great co-founder who falls in your lap that you have some history with, and they're just as excited about, the vision that as you are.
Yeah, so I had experience starting a company without co-founder before, and this time it was like a very intentional attempt to make sure that I have a right partner in this exercise. So starting a company can be very lonely and can be very disappointing or depressing, if you will. So having the right partner, I believe, is one of the most critical things in this.
Sure. So just to unpack a little bit of what you said and make sure that I understand and that people who are listening are understanding this. So as you articulated, businesses, they grow, they have many different functions, they have many different interaction points between either internal team members, support team members, salespeople, whatever, and information, as well as customers and external parties that have to access information. But because that information is often siloed or dense and it exists across many different endpoints, it often wastes a lot of time from humans, whether it's customers time or team members time, to access that information in an efficient way, an effective way. And especially, I know we've talked about, there are certain circumstances where there's a sense of urgency to accessing the information as well. And so having someone on call ready to dig in and answer that question for another entity doesn't make sense if that's only going to occur every once in a while. But when it does occur, it is an urgent, a pressing need to give that information. Is that one way to think about kind of the problem?
It is one way of thinking about it. So we like to think about the ways how we solve this problem in almost like analog to self-driving cars and levels of self-driving cars. So initially, every problem that exists that comes as intake to every other company starts with something very simple. It's just knowledge, right? So like how much of knowledge you have, can you answer that particular question? Can you answer that particular request? And this is what we call like level one, is like, let's aggregate the knowledge, domain knowledge, like insurance, logistics, medical, marketing, whatnot. and put this information available, make it available to the customers, prospects, leads, contacts, whoever who have a specific problem. So this is level one. In the level two, this is where we go deeper. Like when somebody is asking a specific problem and they have established a relationship with your company as the customer, as the prospect, or something else, they most likely have supporting information about them in their previous history of conversation, in their CRM system, for example. They have a contract, they have number of licenses, agreements, deals, renewal dates, and whatnot. So this is what we call like structured metadata. And this is where our system comes handy because it can dynamically extract that information and add it to the context of conversation. So no conversations happen in silo. It automatically enhances with this additional metadata. And if we lack something in metadata, our system gets it from the customer and automatically updates it back in the CRM, for example. This is
Hmm.
level two. As what we talk about the level three of automation, this is where it comes the unstructured metadata. So the easiest way to think about it, you have a written contract with a company, and the contract is customized to your specific needs. So your questions might be related to some clauses or statements made in that contract, but this is not like a specific field or attribute you can extract. You actually need to get this contact, search for it, and summarize it and present it at the answer. And this is where it comes to the like what we call level three of unstructured metadata or unstructured data that is also added to the context. And last but not least, what we call level four, this is the simplest way of automation, where the responses are yes, acknowledge, yes, I have made that change, or yes, that has been canceled. The thing is, the biggest problem is we need to find the right action for the intent that you have in that request. So this is level four. But the reality and what it comes in the real world, it's people's requests, they are never like one single thing and they are never clear. They may have multiple intents, they may have a sequence of requests, and they may have conditions in them. So this is why it makes everything much, much more complicated. So we are not hoping to automate the hell out of this world right now. We're hoping to go after 50% of it. But doing this 50% the best, we can show such a significant improvement that can save companies lots and lots of money and resources.
Hmm. So as you're describing that, it makes perfect sense that as you go up a level, there's an additional, almost exponential improvement in solving this problem, these types of scenarios which happen across many different contexts and different types of companies and industries. um, I guess what comes to my mind is that there could even be, a level 5 or a level 6 where you understand the task that needs to be done, and maybe an AI agent is actually going and completing some kind of task. But is that when you're saying, 50% of the problem is where you're focused in the, like, prior to that action, just figuring out what needs to be done, and then that gets handed off to, team members or maybe the customer to solve their own problem? Is that how you think about it?
I think you nailed it very well. So what I described to you is like the four levels of automation that we believe we can focus on as the reactive agent. The
Mhm.
reality is to be able to go after 100% of automation in that space, we need to switch from reactive agent to proactive agent. We almost need to start shipping agents who will be sending those requests on behalf of the customers, on behalf of vendors, on behalf of partners who will know what is the outcome that they are trying to reach. And then these agents can communicate with our agent by doing this standardization, having the common vocabulary and understanding the capabilities of each other. We can automate 100% of these scenarios, 100% of use cases. And this is where ideally we want to go for. And I think this is where the future, when this co-pilot, if you will, the AI agent would be supporting not only businesses but consumers as well. So think about the insurance space, right? So when you're shopping for insurance, how many companies, including Google's of the world, have attempted to create one-stop insurance shopping cart where you type in your information and you get all possible quotes? How many of them succeeded? None. They are still very segmented and fragmented market because of so much of disconnection and lack of centralization of that information. We believe we can change it in all the verticals possible here, and we're going to be focusing on specific domains with these proactive and reactive agents driving that conversation.
So let's segue to the name of the company, Good Reps. You mentioned insurance. So what we described is kind of this macro view that could solve problems in many different domains. But this company is Good Reps. You're focused on a particular domain now. It sounds like in the future, maybe when you've solved the problem here, you think that this can actually be applied to other different problem sets. But what brought you to insurance, and what is that wedge that you're focused on right now?
Yeah, so first, what brought me to insurance? One thing is the person that I know, a personal friend of mine that I know for over 10 years. He is an insurance agent. So he came to me. He built a successful insurance company himself. He has over like 15 years in the industry. The company over 40 million in ARR. And he was like, listen, we are wasting at least half of our time focusing on service and support requests. And insurance people are like salespeople of the industry where they're selling. This is how they motivated. This is how they compensated. Like who wants to do these email, text messages, Slack, intercom exchanges? Like nobody has time for that because like every hour that I'm spending on this, I'm not selling. So
Mhm.
that was his point, and he's like, I'm struggling to hire people for that role. This is like this role is like at least 70K a year for me, and like and lost opportunity is at least 3x of that. So like help me solve this problem. So that was the first trigger. The second trigger is my advisor Jeffrey, again coming from the same industry, who built a very successful insurance agency that is cutting across like I think like 45 states in US, and it was named one of the most awarded insurance companies in US. So he came to me and said like, listen, I have so many use cases that like I literally have nobody to focus on, or nobody's trained, or like nobody has time for. Like we know what to do the best, but literally we cannot hire people to do something that can be done with the data only, right? And
Mhm.
his use cases to me was even more interesting. It's like how we lose businesses, we lose a lot of businesses. Why can't you help me reaching out to the customers that we lost or the customers that we never closed, and use the conversational method to close them using the domain knowledge, using all the metadata I can give to you, automatically fulfilling the information that we need to actually qualify the customer for a specific product or specific service. So this is where we started, like two people being very helpful for me, joined me in this, and they said like, we're going to give you lots of use cases, lots of problems. Can you try to solve for me? And what this is what we did. We built essentially the problem solving, the product solving three problems. One problem, service and support. Can we answer questions that are coming to support the customers? The second problem is, can we qualify the incoming leads? Because it's a lot of money. The leads are expensive, closing them very hard, takes a lot of time, effort, and which is most of them are wasted. Can we do this automatically? And last but not least, can we bring the customers back? Can we bring churn accounts back? Can we bring canceled accounts back? So these are like three primary use cases we're focusing on, but this is all done in the compound manner. To solve this problem, we need to have a proper integrations, we need to have proper channels of communication, and we need to have proper systems of intelligence that will orchestrate these conversations.
Mhm.
So here we go.
So not only a great co-founder, but some great design partners and customers to build around. And in some ways, I'm having a lot of these conversations. I think every technology entrepreneur is very excited about, the potential with generative AI. But I think for many people, it's difficult to zoom in on one very specific problem set. Like already we've talked about, well, you've got the wedge of starting with that first half of the self-driving you know levels, and only later will you maybe get to the other half. But even more so, you're starting with one use case of those levels, and you already have some customers. Certainly, that's a vote of confidence in the acumen as an entrepreneur that you've picked up over the years. So, with these two design partners, you have one that's more worried about efficiency and dealing with, like every hour that they have a good team member that's not spent on selling, they're potentially wasting a revenue growth opportunity. And so they're helping to solve for that problem. With the other customer, it's that they have they have opportunities that are in their ecosystem already. They have leads that they're unable to close. It kind of strikes me on that second one that there's this interesting opportunity of arbitrage right now where it's like personalization arbitrage may be the best way to put it, but it's, in the past that those leads may never have been fulfilled. There's customers who didn't get what they needed, and there's businesses who weren't able to identify and address those customers' needs because it was lost somewhere in their various systems and data sets. But what you're building really is this, I think there really is this arbitrage opportunity for early adopters that can say, there's there is business to be found inside of our systems, and we need a tool that's going to find that for us and help us go win that business and deliver value to the customers that are lost right now.
Yeah, I think this is very correct. It actually resonates pretty well with the messaging that we're getting from talking to early customers, early prospects here. So we have a number of businesses that are actually interested not so much in the closing the deal, but also in the insights about the deal. So
Hmm.
think about the like MGAs, or like, if you will, brokers for brokers, who are capable of impacting the price of your insurance. So they send their pricing to like tens, if not hundreds, different brokers. Do you know how many brokers tell them where they picked them or where they not picked them for one reason or another? None. There is no motivation for brokers to actually communicate anything back. They pick one deal and they forget about the rest. So these MGAs, these like pseudo carriers, they want to know. They lack all insights because they need to adjust, they need to stay competitive, they need maybe to reposition their products, and they can't. So this creates this unique opportunity not only to focus on the leads that convert, but also on the leads that do not convert and extracting some insights from it. And that would be traditionally not really possible to do with the traditional systems or tools, because they are like, this is like systems development. They are like so hard coded, for the lack of a better term. So with the generative AI, we have a unique capability to understand the intents, understand the insights from the conversation that can be put together and presented to multiple customers with proper depersonalization of that as well.
Yep. Super interesting. So, are you live? Are there, obviously you have some really valuable design partners? Sounds like they have big businesses that are looking to be serviced. If someone's hearing about this right now and they're curious and wanna do a sales call with you, is can they go to a website and find out more?
Yeah, we do have a website. It's live. It's in beta right now, so invite only. We are onboarding the right candidates for the product that is available as self-serve right now. And we are working with a few design partners for more complex use cases or more complex integrations with the CRMs or applicant or agency management systems that are important. So definitely more than welcome to reach out to me at op@goodreps.ai, or go to our website, goodreps.ai, where we have some basic information about the product that we have right now, as well as there is additional products that we also support on the marketing, lead qualification, and win back scenarios. And I'm more than happy to give the context and share the knowledge in that space, even for those who are not ready to get a product right now, but just want to learn the best practices from the industry.
Mhm. Well, before we sign off, I just wanna touch on one more topic, which, you have these design partners. There's specific needs that they have where either they want more efficiency. You mentioned, the one partner, it costs him $70,000 to fill a seat for a service person to do this work, but that person may actually prefer to be in the agent seat anyways, and bringing in business and earning commissions and things like that. On the other side, it seems like there's an opportunity to actually create net new sales and revenue. So when we think about how the technology that you're building can impact workforces, does this mean on your micro level, do you think, and do your customers think this means a smaller team, or does this actually mean a bigger team because they can grow and build a more profitable business? And then I'll also say, just as you think about the implications of this new technology on society, what camp do you fall in terms of how this impacts, you know, jobs of knowledge workers and white collar workers?
Okay, two questions. So first is, how do I see these teams? I see the teams as more focused. You don't have to multitask. You don't have to focus on business. You can do business here. And more specifically is, lots and lots of problems have a big misunderstanding of, like, if I am busy, it means I'm driving the success to the company or to the work that I'm doing. This is very wrong. In fact, the most successful people that I have seen, they try to spend as little time as possible doing some activities, and they delegate and they focus on something that really matters. So this is what I'm trying to give into the hands of these agencies, like less than 10, 15 people in size. This is what I want to enable them. It's like, focus on what really matters. Like, everything else, delegate. It's going to be your co-pilot. It's going to be your agent in your company, AI agent, that will support everything that you don't want to do. So this is one side and one question. The second question, like, where I'm in the camp of, like, am I stealing away jobs from people? I don't think I'm stealing the jobs. I'm enhancing their experience. Uh, yes, some jobs would be eliminated, which is normal because some jobs are not effective, not the best use of a human's potential. And in my understanding, is computers will be still superior and doing monotone, repetitive, boring work. So say you are looking at the constant stream of numbers for like 3 hours in a row. How many mistakes you will do? Lots and lots of them. However, computers are not going to be superior of a human in reasoning and decision making using the limited or ambiguous set of data. And this is where the humans should continue focusing on doing that work, continuing to be creative, continue to generate some more value, some more products there. And everything else can support. Like, why we create so many tools and so many things around ourselves, not just to make sure that we have nothing to do and we are die from hunger because we don't have money, but because we can focus on something that really matters, like getting to Mars, for example.
Yeah, I think I fall very much in your camp. Like, we've had various productivity increases and, from technology over the years, and I think it's moving towards a world where we're all in more creative, more entrepreneurial roles. But I do think that shifts in people's career planning definitely needs to take place, and maybe that person who could have been the $70,000 a year support person now is, maybe forced to become that salesperson who's going and actually has higher earnings potential for himself, his family, and the business.
Yep, that's very true.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Alex, for your time. I think this is super interesting. I have a lot of enthusiasm and confidence in the company. I'm excited to follow along, and we will keep in touch.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for your time. Yeah,
Take
bye
care.
bye.